Hey, what's going on, everyone? Joe Menza here, and I've got the Ron Ranson brush out and the 11 by 15 Canson XL. And I was kind of watching the old Western movies, and I kind of had a idea in my mind to do sort of a Western vibe. And doing that kind of get the little desert, a little mountain type scene. So I'm starting off here with like a yellow ochre raw sienna, just kind of tinting this background a little bit. Now the nice thing about this one is it really won't have much of a sky. So if you find skies challenging, this is going to be perfect for you because there's no sky really in the picture. We're going to just leave an empty area, and this is going to have sort of a high horizon line. I'm taking a little bit of blue here. This is Winsor & Newton Cotman. And I'm making a little bit of a mountain back here. And it's a little too blue. I want to go a little like a greener, yellow-green. So I add a little bit of yellow, a little bit of green to that. Just a little bit of sap green go over the top. And that's just about right there. And now I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber and Van Dyke brown. We're going to put a little mountain here in the foreground. Mountains or hills, whatever you call them, from wherever you're from. Okay, wash the brush and just kind of thin that out a little bit. Gonna make it an interesting shape. I'll grab a little more brown and kind of create sort of a couple different layers there. And I think I'm going to make like a little path or a little turn, maybe an area where maybe horses might ride down or something. A little bit more of yellow ochre or raw sienna here. On the right of my board, I got the basic, or on the right of my palette, I should say, I have the original 7 colors off to the right of Ron Ranson. And then I have some bonus colors that came in various kits, orange, sap green. When you buy the Winsor & Newton Cotman kit, there's a lot of extra colors. So I'm mainly sticking within the Ron Ranson palette of colors, mostly. Now I'm taking a wet brush here and I'm shaping these mountains to have just a little, just to give them a little bit of shape to them, a little bit of a, indentation, whatever, texture. And just coming up with a little bit more brown, a little Van Dyke brown here. You can see that pathway sort of taking shape. And the concern here is not, you can use brown. You don't want to use too much brown. Your whole painting will then be brown, obviously. So here I'm going to start coming in with some darks, a little bit of Payne's gray. I'm just doing little textural things here. I'm coming in and pressing in with, like a little brown, a little red and a brown. And just doing these little things will make areas look like they're raised. When it dries, it will give it some different effects, the way maybe the light is hitting it, or it might be like a raised area. So it's just the different ways of applying the paint rather than just solid painting. Now a little green at the bottom. I'm going to start getting a little green in here to kind of offset. Green and red are technically complementary colors. So brown, reddish brown, green. So hopefully they'll complement each other and they'll kind of match the greenish little mountain that's very faint and distant in the back. No real trees in this one this time, keeping it simple. Foreground, background, no sky, no trees. The foliage in the foreground is kind of like bushes or something like that, but simple. And I got a little bit of this phthalo green or viridian on my brush, which I'm not wild about. It's kind of a garish green. Better really to mix like your yellow and your blue together, or on my other palette I have Undersea Green from Daniel Smith. That's actually a better green. This is another brush I have that kind of leaves interesting textures. You find different brushes that you collect over your lifetime. You'll find you have certain brushes you run into and you like the marks that they make. And that is a lot of what painting's about. It's about light, and it's about interesting marks, things that hold people's attention and focus. Now, one thing I do like to do is I'll take a dry brush. Now, you've seen me take a dry brush and blend. In this case, I'm taking a dry brush and blending, but I'll also take a dry brush and I'll press it into the wet paint and take some away and create textural things too. Again, here, just a little bit of blending. You've heard of, like, in watercolor, soft and hard edges. Hard edges are for certain effects and soft edges are for certain effects. Well, when I was using the Procreate for the iPad, the digital software, there's a softening tool there, a fade tool. Looks like a little hand, like a little glove. If you watch my video on that, you'll see. And that you can use to soften edges. This is almost that same real world effect here. Again, we're pressing into this paint, creating this texture effect. Not easy to see really on camera, I don't think. Adding a little bit of green. It's subtleties here. Little grass maybe hanging out into this little pathway here. And back to this brush again. Kind of want to get a little darks in here. That would be the base of these little mounds, I guess they would be. You don't want it to look super flat. I mean, you might want it to look flat, but I don't personally want it to look flat. And then I'll add to that with a little scraping of this, so it doesn't, breaks it up a little bit. Take the plastic palette knife and break that up a little bit, making little rocks and sort of anchoring them in and blending it. I want it to look natural. I'm not trying to get it to look overtly realistic, otherwise I may as well just go get a camera. Of course, this is from my imagination, so there's that. I'm just kind of anchoring these rocks in here. And then using the dry brush to take the edge off of that a little bit. You see up on the upper left there, that one, see how the dark, it kind of is pushing that little mound into the air. So it looks like there's a little, little things in the ground sticking out. Well, there's the finished version of that. And here it is with the mat on it. I hope you enjoyed this one. I enjoyed painting it. We'll see you next time.